And hello, race fans, and welcome here to the Kalamazoo Speedway, where tonight we are getting ready for the first ever outing, the first ever round of the first ever season of the WRLA Hoosier Summer Tour. And my goodness gracious, this is one of those types of series that kind of just popped up at the last minute. It was something that was on my mind, and kind of thinking to myself, man, you know, sometimes the off weeks here for the WRLA might seem just a little bit boring. So why don't we give these guys a little bit more of an incentive to make the summer here a little bit more interesting, and let's just get seven drivers out of random from the WRLA Menards Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and the NOS Energy Cup Series on a short track, 6 short tracks to be exact, traveling all throughout the Midwest and then ending off at El Cajon Speedway in August 8th. So way out in the West Coast, away from all the other tracks on the East Coast. But nonetheless, here we are. I don't know what else to say. I'm just really excited to get this season underway, because this is, ball and all, this is gonna be kind of like an SRX series, but obviously with the WRLA name sort of slapped on top of it. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just excited. It's a whole new series. It's a whole new series. That's all I gotta say. With obviously 6 different short tracks, 2 of which we're going to be here at Michigan, starting off here at the Kalamazoo Speedway, and then the next week we'll be at Galesburg Speedway. For those that may remember, back just a decade ago, we had a league called the NRLA Monster Energy Super Truck Series, and old Marty Johnson won at Galesburg Speedway in very dominating fashion. Here at Kalamazoo, I can't quite remember, because it has been a very hot minute since we've done anything in regards to the Monster Energy Super Truck Series. But after that, we will be going over to Dalles Raceway Park for our 3rd race of the season, right around midweek, July 9th. So we're going to have a couple of midweek races throughout the month of July, with a 1-week break, and then after the 1-week break, I don't even know what I'm saying, because I'm actually really excited. My brain's going a million miles an hour because of that excitement. But after 1 week, we'll be taking a trip out to Anderson, Indiana, over at the Anderson Speedway. And then for race number 5, we head out to Stafford, Connecticut, over at the Stafford Motor Speedway. And to end it all off, we go all the way across the country to Cajon Speedway to settle the championship for the first ever season of the WRLA Hoosier Summer Tour. With that said here, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have done enough talking, so why don't we go ahead and introduce the 22 drivers that will be competing here in this series, and also for tonight's race. We do have, again, as I mentioned, we have 7 drivers from all 3 divisions and 1 celebrity driver, and we will get to them here very, very shortly. With that said, why don't we go ahead and actually get this party started here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. I do apologize here. It's going to be taking a little bit we can actually get the music up and rolling. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Let's go ahead and reveal your starting lineup, as well as the drivers that will be competing throughout the season. Starting on the pole position from the NOS Energy Cup Series is the number 1. That is Val Mosco. Lining up alongside him is the number 77 Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship Chevy Camaro late model. That is Bruno Diacomo out of the Menards Truck Series. From the Xfinity Series, you got the number 29 Mobile One Toyota. That is Sarah Taylor. And then alongside her is fellow Xfinity Series driver Joshua Neely, driving the number 8. In the number 20 machine, you also have Terry Walker in the Ream Toyota out of the Walker Family Motorsports stable, representing the NOS Energy Cup Series. And then you got Nathan Stapleton in the number 97, representing the Cup Series. And then you got the number 55, just behind them, another NOS Energy Cup Series driver. That is Travis Crampton, rocking the JBL colors. And then Kenny Stremme in the Andes Frozen Custard Chevy out of the Xfinity Series. Right behind them, you also have the number 34. That is Bryce Egan, also representing the Menards Truck Series. And then alongside him is the number 3 Sundrop Chevy Camaro late model. That is Russell Blaze, representing the Cup Series. Also representing the NOS Energy Cup level is the number 41 Papa John's Toyota Camry. That is Claire Phillips. And then alongside her, representing the Menards Truck Series, is the HendrickCars.com number 71 of Carson Miller. You also have the number 7 built, the number 7 machine. Like I said, the sponsorships, it's the built machine. That is Emmanuel Hartnett in the number 7 machine, representing the Menards Truck Series. And then alongside him, representing the WRLA Xfinity Series, the red Sundrop number 88. That is Ajax Fitzgerald. Then the number 2 Crossroads Harley Davidson machine. The number 2, that is Tyler Ferris, representing the Menards Truck Series. And alongside him is the number 24, also representing the Menards Truck Series. That is Eli Bright in the number 24 HendrickCars.com Chevy Camaro late model. And then the number 43, representing the WRLA Xfinity Series, the Focus Factor machine. That is Alexander Rowe. And then a number 19, Bass Pro Shops Toyota. Of course, this is pretty synonymous with Wyatt Walker because it is representing the NOS Energy Cup Series, the number 19 machine, Wyatt Walker. Then we get on down over here to our 10th row. That is the number 38, Max Anderson, representing the Menards Truck Series, and our celebrity driver, the number 99. He is your 2023 Pumpkin 250 winner and your 2024 NRLA McDonald's Cup Series champion. That is the number 99 of BB Hange. And then finally, our provisional starters representing the Xfinity Series and the 00 Infinity Communications Group Ford Mustang late model. That is Ryan Kendall. And starting at the caboose is the number 33 Bennett International Transport Chevy SS late model. That is Eric Blaze. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is your 22 car field and also your 22 car roster that will be contending in tonight's 150 lap event here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. And we're so happy that you could join us here for an amazing night of racing and a dawning of a brand new series and the first ever season of the WRLA Hoosier Summer Tour. Nothing much is really on the line except the fun of short track racing and just to determine who's not only the best driver on the short tracks, but also which division is the most superior out of all three. It's going to be a very fun season, and we're looking forward to it just as much as you guys are. With that said, these drivers are strapped into their cars. Pre-race ceremonies are wrapping up, and in order to get these 22 engines fired up and rolling, let's go trackside to get the command to fire the engines. Engines are fired, pace car is rolling, and we'll head into the pits. As that happens, all 22 drivers will be faced with the starter on the other side of the track, the number 1 of Val Moscow. and Bruno Giacomo. They'll lead the field of the green flag and get the 2026 WRLA Hoosier Summer Tour underway here at Kalamazoo. Moscow breaks away with the race lead. They come off of turn number 4. He'll lead the first lap of action. Sarah Taylor in the 29 already on the attack on the inside line. She's going to go up into the second position as Bruno Giacomo. Ooh, a lot of these drivers already caution on the Speedway. First time tonight. Oh, we had a big crash going through turn number 1. Looks like this happened at the very beginning of the event. Obviously, just after they took the green flag. That's Eli Bright in the 43. Lots of damage to his Focus Factor late model. I also see Ryan Kendall, right side, banged up on that 00. I think even Max Anderson and also Eric Blaze, they may or may not have gotten a piece of it, but I do see a significant amount of damage on Kendall and also Alexander Rowe's car. But first caution of the night is out, and it comes out very early here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. This actually happened, I do stand corrected, by the way, this happened on lap number 2. So we're going to go ahead and review what happened that caused that first caution of the night here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. And this actually happened just after, well, just before they, well, just as they were completing lap number 1. We're actually going to take a look at it back here. 3 wide towards the rear of the field. There's Alexander Rowe, the number 43. And there's Bryce. Actually, that's the 38 of Max Anderson. And the 38 of Anderson just kind of rides on the back end of the 43 and actually sends Rowe down towards the inside wall and all pretty much head on. Collided with that wall at such an angle. And then further up ahead, Anderson loses control right in front of Eric Blaze, Ryan Kendall, and BB Hange. And all 4 of those cars go up into the wall. And look at the 99 of Hange almost get up on his side. So unfortunate way to start off the season for several of these contenders in the early stages of the season and of this race. But that's the good news, is that this happened very early on, and probably the only driver that unfortunately may not have a chance of recovery. And the game just crashed. The game just crashed. Oh my goodness, you have got to be joking. Now, the good news is that this happened at the beginning of the race. Not halfway through, not 2/3 of the way through. It happened at the beginning, so that is a good thing. But all right, let's go ahead and let's re-rack them, restack them, and try it again. So this is definitely a good news there for Alexander Rowe. It's kind of worked out in their favor. But here we go. Let's try it again.
I can't hear you! Drivers! Start your engine!
And as far as replays, we're actually going to wait until the end of the race to actually look over our replays for what happened. I think we're going to do that for all Hoosier Summer Tour races. And potentially all other races with the Menards Xfinity and Cup Series. Here we go. Field comes off of 4. Moscow, Giacomo. Let's try it again. Green flag, and we're racing at Kalamazoo. And just like at the beginning of the first attempt, Val Moscow breaks away with the lead. He'll lead the first lap of action. Terry Walker now goes inside of Sarah Taylor for the runner-up spot, and they are 3 wide. One car might have gotten into the wall. I'm not 100% sure. kind of lost out on a split second because you saw Crampton kind of just by his lonesome there for a split moment. And now you got Bryce Egan in the 34 already getting to the inside of the 55 of Crampton. Further in the back, here comes Emmanuel Hartnett down to the inside of the number 41 of Claire Phillips, and they are 3 wide here. I think Joshua Neely had to get out of the gas there pretty aggressively because we've seen, as well as in the bash at the zoo, that outside wall, especially on corner exit, I can definitely reach out and grab you, and that's probably what happened to several of these contenders. As you see Kenny Stremme starting to fade back in the number 16 machine, and 3 wide back over here. That's Wyatt Walker to the inside of Carson Miller and almost forced him up into Nathan Stapleton in the number 97. So now Walker has moved his way up into the 16th spot in the early going here at Kalamazoo Speedway. Nathan Stapleton wound up getting into the outside wall, and he will fade back with the 24. That is Eli Bright, back to dead last. But up front, it is all Val Moscow leading the way. He has led every lap since the drop of the green flag, and boy, this would be something if the number 1 of Val Moscow went to victory lane to kick off the Hoosier Summer Tour season. Remember back in January, he managed to win the Bash at the Zoo for the NOS Energy Cup Series all the way back in January. And he would just love to repeat here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. And just behind him is the number 20. That is Terry Walker, sitting comfortably here in this runner-up spot. So 2 NOS Energy Cup drivers lead the field, and then you have the highest running Menards Truck Series driver, Bryce Egan, sitting in the 3rd position, and then in 4th is the number 29, the highest running Xfinity Series driver, Sarah Taylor. Emmanuel Hartnett in the number 7 machine, one of the all-time winningest drivers in WRLA history, rounds out your top 5 as we are now 13 laps into this 150 lap feature. Take a look further in the back. Looks like 3 cars. It's Alexander Rowe. Also, this actually kind of works out in the favor of all 4 cars that are actually under a blanket. The 43 of Rowe, also Max Anderson, BB Hange, and also Eric Blaze. But Blaze got into the outside wall there coming off of turn number 2, and that will open up the door for Wyatt Walker to drive to the inside and take over what would be the 11th position. This number 19 is on the move after starting closer to the rear end of the field. So how about that there for Wyatt Walker in the number 19 machine, already up into the 11th position, and Eric Blaze once again collides with the outside wall coming off of turn number 2. Ryan Kendall went down to the inside. Going to take full advantage of that 12th position, but I go back to it. This is kind of a saving grace for the game crashing for all 4 drivers. Eric Blaze, Alexander Rowe, BB Hange, and as well as Max Anderson is at 33, just absolutely overcooking the corners, and that's going to leave Eric Blaze's father of Russell Blaze just darting down to the inside, heading through turns 1 and 2, and it looks like he's going to try to take over the 13th position from his son of Eric Blaze, who actually got off of turn number 2 a little bit better than what he had the last several laps. As soon as I say that, he just hits the wall again, and now that allows Claire Phillips to get to the inside, and then you also have Joshua Neely, who probably isn't going to be too far behind the number 41 when it comes to just getting around the 33 of Eric Blaze, who's just absolutely pounded the outside wall just several times throughout this race. It looks like Phillips might be having a little bit of issues, at least did there for several seconds, just trying to get by the 33, and now she's going to be able to get by without an issue. That'll be Joshua Neely's turn, but he runs wide through turns 1 and 2. Can be pretty easy to do here at the Kalamazoo Speedway if you get, if of course you do carry too much speed getting into the first corner. there is always a good chance that you might run wide through turns 1 and turn 2. And how about this? Bruno Giacomo, he started outside pole for this race, and he has faded all the way back into the 22nd position. So definitely not what Bruno Giacomo wanted at all in the number 77 machine. But he looks like he's going to try to get the 21st position away from Kenny Stremme. Already down on the inside. And across the stripe, he'll get that spot. Actually, no, he didn't. He just barely lost out on it by a few thousandths of a second. But this time he gets it across the stripe. So move that 77 up into the top spot. For those that are just now tuning in, the game crashed on our first attempt. So this is attempt number 2, and we're going very smoothly. So if there is a caution that does come out, we will review the wrecks after the race. So just want to put that out there, folks. We're definitely going to do that here. Adopt that strategy for our Hoosier Summer Tour broadcasts here over on the WRLA YouTube channel. So far, it is Val Moscow in the number 1 machine. He started on the pole for this race, and he has been leading ever since then. Terry Walker still sitting in that 2nd position in the number 20. Then in 3rd is still the number 34, Bryce Egan. Sarah Taylor continues to run 4th, and Emmanuel Hartnett continues to run in 5th, completing her top 5. Everybody has now kind of worked themselves into this single file rhythm, as you can see here overhead of the fastest 3/8 of a mile racetrack in the state of Michigan. And just remember, there is time, so these drivers are definitely taking full advantage of that. And obviously, as this race does continue to go on, we more than likely are going to see tire wear really come into play, especially with the blistering speeds that these drivers are running. We saw it a lot during the NOS Energy Cup Series festivities here back in January with the bash at the zoo. Even in the main event, you know, all the drivers were definitely taking it pretty easy until you got later in the race, where, of course, there were a lot of other incidents where some drivers would wound up pounding the outside wall off of turn number 2. Now, you also got to keep in mind these walls are, especially on the back straightaway, because you're going to see it right here on that shot. They're at an angle, so they're still, but they're at an angle. They're still pointed pretty much at 0 degrees when it comes to angle, or at least about 90 degrees. So if you were to lay down a protractor on the racetrack, it would be well over 90 degrees. So they're a little bit obtuse from the racing surface. So usually the angle of a wall at a racetrack should, especially on banking, if, you know, obviously by logic, should be at least 90 degrees perpendicular to the actual banking, right? Well, here at Kalamazoo Speedway, it is a little bit different. So the angle of the wall, especially in the back straightaway, is a bit obtuse from the racing surface, kind of like what you see there. So obviously it does make for a little bit, it doesn't add any sort of crazy element, if you will, but it does make things a little bit interesting with drivers absolutely overshooting their corner exit and just colliding with the wall, and kind of just seeing the drivers sort of seeing the cars rather sort of I don't know, I guess they sort of kind of just impact the wall at an angle. They kind of just bobble a little bit, or at least kind of lean over to the right when it comes to the impact of the wall. That obviously didn't make sense, and I do apologize for just talking very incoherently there. But as we're more than likely gonna witness here, Wyatt Walker in this number 19, he is slowly running down the 38 of Max Anderson, sitting pretty comfortably in the 9th position as they race off of turn number 4. Looks like I keep confusing Bryce Egan here for this number 38. Keep confusing the 38 for Bryce Egan, rather. But Max Anderson has really started to gap that number 19 just by a half a second. It's starting to add a little bit more there, and Walker definitely starting to fall back and lose ground from Max Anderson in the 38. It might fall into the clutches of Ryan Kendall here if he's not careful. 50 laps complete here for the first race of the WRLA Hoosier Summer Tour here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. 100 laps to go. And there's still a good amount of time for something to happen here. But Kendall really starting to do everything he can to reel in Wyatt Walker to try to capture that 10th spot from the number 19 machine. But it's still all Val Moscow in the number 1. And Terry Walker still right in his tire tracks, just trying to drive it through the corners a little bit deeper than Moscow. But he goes a little bit wide through turns 1 and 2 there. Let's see how he manages 3 and 4. Probably just as good, but I wouldn't say good enough, if anything, for the number 20 of Terry Walker. Still about 2/3 of a second behind Moscow. This might also create an opportunity here for Bryce Egan to maybe see about taking that runner-up spot away from Terry Walker if the number 20 had managed to use up all of his tire, at least the grip on the tires, because as I mentioned, with the fall off, with the tire fall off, of course, it's going to create a little bit more of an interesting dynamic in regards to who has definitely been saving their tires, who's been saving their stuff for the longer run, and it's going to be very interesting to see how that all unfolds here, especially once we get down into the later stages. And oh boy, we might see with less than 100 to go now who's got it and who doesn't. Travis Crampton almost down on that yellow line, just keeping that car pinned to the bottom of the racetrack. Right now, Crampton continues to ride in the 6th position. I don't know why I went outside of the top 10, because Crampton's kind of been sitting here this entire race. Looks like as we're looking at the interval between the 1 and the 20, it's almost 0.7 of a second. As Moscow trying to do everything he can to run away with this from the 20 of Terry Walker and try to repeat here at the Kalamazoo Speedway and become the first ever Hoosier Summer Tour winner and try to take off with the points lead in the early going of this race, of the season as well, rather. Not just of this race, but more importantly, the season. I think Moscow might have just run a little bit wide, but even if he did, it wouldn't have made a difference. But Bryce Egan in this number 34 is slowly reeling in Terry Walker. Little by little, the gap is 0.4. Went off of turn 4 now, see what the gap is across the stripe. Fell back just a little bit, so it is now down to, or at least up to, a half a second between Egan and Terry Walker, who continues to ride in that 2nd position. 0.4 back is still Sarah Taylor in the 29. Anything is possible here within these next, looks like 82 laps coming up here. At least 82 laps to go coming up. And more than likely might be the case. It could be the case. With now 81 coming up to 80 laps to go here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. So also kind of catching up to the tail end of the field there, as you see a little bit of damage to Kenny Stremmy's car. Look at the right side of his number 16, just beaten up from just absolutely colliding with the outside wall. I can definitely say the same thing here for the 77 of Bruno Diacomo. A lot of drivers are definitely taking a pretty hard beating into the outside wall. Ajax Fitzgerald in this 88 looks pretty clean. But as for Nathan Stapleton in the 97, man, that right side of that car just looks absolutely used up. Carson Miller looks pretty clean. I see Joshua Neely in the A. That right side looks beat up. We saw the 33 of Eric Blaze just get absolutely hit the wall several times earlier in the race, and as we're at the halfway point, that right side definitely is pretty used up. But currently riding in that 15th position, Claire Phillips in the 41. Same can be said to the passenger side of her car. Russell Blaze seems pretty clean. There's BB Hange in the 99, our celebrity driver. Not representing any division here in the WRLA, but pretty much in the Drivers' Championship for himself. Brian Kendall in 11th, and then you get over here to Wyatt Walker sitting in the 10th position. So you see several cars that definitely have been keeping their race cars pretty clean. It's never a bad thing to see the right side mangled up on these late models. These late models can take a pretty tough beating. These late models are tough. Hartnett still riding that 5th spot. Terry Walker still continuing to try to reel in Val Moscow, while Moscow is reeling in the tail end of the field. And in a little bit of time, we will see this field in a full, complete ring here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. I'd have to say this is kind of similar to what we saw with the Bash of the Zoo earlier this year, where the racing that we saw was relatively clean, very abnormally clean, if anything. Very, very abnormally clean. But then it kind of got a little bit chaotic as we got later into the race. So a little bit of a shorter event here at Kalamazoo, and also with the sun out and beating down on this racetrack, you would think that the track conditions would be a little bit more slick, and you'd see a little bit more tire fall off. And I mean, it could still be the case. Wyatt Walker is having a little bit of trouble keeping up with Max Anderson. The gap right now, it's gone down to 0.6 of a second between the 38 and the 19, but you also got Ryan Kendall still hanging with the 19 of Wyatt Walker as he holds on to 10th. Hartnett still riding in 5th. Still pretty clean and green. Coming up on 60 laps of racing to go from here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. Egan still running in that 3rd spot. Moscow, he'll easily get those 5 bonus points for leading the most laps here tonight, as he has already led more than half of this race. But this is just simply put dominating here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. A very clean and a very safe race. Obviously no cautions. We have not had a caution yet, which is honestly very shocking, to say the least. When we go to the Galesburg Speedway, oh boy, the story there is going to be just a little bit different. Could be similar, but also very, very different. You'll see that next Saturday night at the Galesburg Speedway for the second race of the WRLA Hoosier Summer Tour on 4th of July weekend. That is going to have a lot of fireworks, and we're looking forward to that one. We can't wait to go racing at the Galesburg Speedway. That will take place on the 4th of July, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the WRLA YouTube channel. And again, so happy that you could be here with us for the first ever race of the WRLA Hoosier Summer Tour. Obviously, it has been a very anticlimactic race here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. But still, these drivers, especially in the early going, have put on a show in order to get to this point. Closing in on triple digits here at the fastest 3/8 of a mile racetrack in the state of Michigan. And it's still Moscow leading the charge and opening that gap just a little bit more over Terry Walker, who has been riding in that second position all day long. Egan still third, and then in fourth is the 29 of Sarah Taylor, and Emmanuel Hartnett rounds out your top 5. So it is 2 NOS Energy Cup drivers, 2 Menards Truck Series drivers, and 1 Xfinity Series driver, all inside of the top 5, coming to 50 laps to go here at Kalamazoo. Let's look further in the back of the field. How about this for Alexander Rowe and even Max Anderson? Now, if you were with us at the very beginning of the race, or at the beginning of the stream, we had our first attempt, and there was a crash that happened at the beginning of lap number 2 that saw Alexander Rowe get spun off the front bumper of Max Anderson. It also collected Ryan Kendall and Eric Blaze, and also the 99 of BB Hange. We went to go look at a replay, and well, the game crashed because we went back and looked at a replay. So ultimately, that was kind of the saving grace for all 5 drivers to kind of get back into contention and hit that reset button and get back at it again. And so far, they're especially Alexander Rowe, Max Anderson, they're taking full advantage of that. Ryan Kendall as well, I'd say the same for him. BB Hange in the number 99, currently riding in the 12th position. Russell Blaze in the 3, not too far back, riding comfortably here in this 13th position, and might get ready to go to work here on BB Hange here if he's able to close to the back bumper of the 99. But man, oh man, what a dominating performance. I mean, even if Val Moscow doesn't win here tonight, what a dominating performance it has been, though, for the one machine of Val Moscow. Starting first and potentially finishing first in car number 1 and taking the points lead, leaving here at Kalamazoo Speedway to head to Galesburg next Saturday night. Man, this would be absolutely astounding. Absolutely impressive performance out of all 22 contenders to keep this race pretty clean and also safe. Obviously, with some mulligans here and there, of course, when we take a look at the passenger sides of several of these other cars, you know, it's still honestly amazing to see that we still have all 22 cars still running on the racetrack. Unfortunately, not really racing, if anything, just kind of pacing around here, kind of like what you see right now. Almost like when there's still a little bit of moisture on the racetrack, and it's still good enough for the drivers to get back out on the track and at least kind of put down some laps to get a little bit more heat on the racing surface. That way you can evaporate that rain or even fluid on the track, and the driver and the track workers put down that speedy dry and you send the drivers out like this and try to work that speedy dry in, that is exactly what that looks like here. That is exactly the formation that these drivers are in. Well, Terry Walker, I'm not sure if he's going to wait much longer. He closed the gap just a little bit. I think this is the closest I've seen the 20 get to the 1 of Moscow all race long. But I think Moscow, he's just playing mind games at this point, sort of playing with his food, if you will, as he starts to increase that gap just by a few hundredths here every lap. 32 to go. Gap is now 0.6 of a second once again. And Bryce Egan's still a half a second behind Terry Walker. .30 to go here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. And we have yet to see a caution flag fall here at Kalamazoo. On what has been a very calm, cool, and very collected race here at the fastest 3/8 of a mile track. Everybody just taking it easy. Taking it very easy, if anything. Moscow, it almost kind of seems like that he has... Obviously, he does see the tail end of the field, as you also see Kenny Shremy trying to get back around the 77 of Bruno Giacomo, but runs wide going through turn 3. That messes up his corner exit in turn number 4. He goes way wide over here through turns 1 and 2. But kind of going back to it, I mean, obviously you can tell especially by this shot here, that Moscow sees the tail end of the field with Kenny Shremy. But I don't know if he's able to... I'm pretty sure he's able to pull up to them, potentially. He might catch him by race's end, because he is putting... at least catching him by a few hundredths every lap. If he manages to catch the field within 10 laps to go, or just before 10 to go, what would that mean as far as the finish of this race is concerned? Would that mean that we could see a pretty intense fight for the win between Moscow, Terry Walker, or even Bryce Egan, Sarah Taylor, Emmanuel Harnett, all these other drivers, all these contenders inside of the top 5 that have been absolutely just riding their hearts out in the positions that they are in right now to get obviously to get their seasons off to a pretty fine start, if anything, because we know that Val Moscow is going to walk away with those 5 bonus points. He's obviously going to leave here with that singular bonus point for leading a lap. And if things kind of stay the way that they are right now for these final 19 laps, he would pick up the 10 bonus points for winning, as well as 30 points for finishing in first place. So he would sweep every category when it comes to bonus points, along with the 30 points for finishing in first. And if you're unfamiliar of how the point system is going to work here for the summer tour, it is in the WRLA Discord. The link to join is down in the description. We'd absolutely love to have you. It's going to be in the announcements section of the Discord server. So you'll be able to see the point system and how that's going to how it's broken down over there. 15 to go. And Terry Walker, I think 0.53 seconds is the closest that I've seen Terry get to the 1 of Val Moscow, but I think Moscow's going to turn it up again. Actually, no. Terry stayed with him. Kind of held strong there. See if he can get any closer to the one of Moscow. And not the case. Moscow picks it up by at least 2 100s. He might pick it up even more by another 2 100s. 12 laps to go here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. And Moscow really starting to pull away. Or at least he's trying to, if anything. Picks it up by 4 tenths, or 4 100ths rather. 10 fingers up in the air. It'll be 10 laps of pacing to go here at the Kalamazoo Speedway, with Moscow having led every lap thus far. We have yet to see a caution flag. One, especially here at this juncture of the race, it could change everything. It very, very well could, but you know, as far as seeing the landscape of, you know, how the field looks, I just don't think it's going to happen. I just do not think it's going to happen, especially with how the field is spread out and all single file. They've pretty much been pacing like this entire event, but again, we'll be going to Galesburg Speedway next Saturday night on 4th of July weekend. So that race is going to be looking pretty different when it comes to how the drivers are going to be tackling the flat short track of Galesburg Speedway. Might see some drivers go off the racing surface and into the woods if they're not careful. 5 to go from here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. Terry Walker's pulled up, has at least gained an 100th, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. Might have to settle for that second spot. 3 to go, or 4 to go rather. Getting ahead of myself there. I'm not, oh, what's his face? Marty Reed? I'm not Marty Reed. 3 to go. And man, oh man, you know, this is actually history in the making when you really think about it, because with 2 laps to go, coming to the white flag this time by, Val Moscow is about to do something pretty remarkable. White flag, 1 lap to go here at Kalamazoo. And down the backstretch through turns 3 and 4, he has led every lap. He'll sweep all the points, and Val Moscow becomes your first ever Hoosier Summer Tour winner at Kalamazoo. And pacing in the second position, that will be Terry Walker. Bryce Egan will come home in 3rd. Then in 4th will be Sarah Taylor. Emmanuel Hartnett rounds out the top 5. Then in 6th will be the 55 of Travis Crampton. In 7th will be Tyler Ferris. Alexander Rowe in 8th. Max Anderson in 9th. And Wyatt Walker rounds out your top 10. And then everybody pretty much finished the race. Nobody went a lap down. So all is good in the world of the Hoosier Summer Tour. But it was a caution-free race, pretty anticlimactic, if I may say. So that will definitely change when we go to the Galesburg Speedway next Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the WRLA YouTube channel. And take a look at this. You know, 2 Cup drivers managed to stay out ahead of the Truck Series drivers of Bryce Egan and Emmanuel Hartnett, and as well as the highest finishing Xfinity driver of Sarah Taylor. And you can definitely see by the initial on the left-hand side, the C is for the Cup Series, the T is for Trucks, and X is for the Xfinity Series, and S, just to kind of obviously sort of decipher the difference, would be S is for celebrity, of course, as you can see there. But how about this? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 Cup drivers, 1, 2, 3, 4 truck drivers, and then 2 Xfinity contenders finished inside of the top 10 here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. And man, a pretty calm race to open, pretty calm event to open up the first ever season of the WRLA Hoosier Summer Tour. But again, next Saturday night, 4th of July weekend, we will be heading out to the Galesburg Speedway, also located in Michigan, for another 150 lap duel. It's a flatter racetrack, only one wall. It's the front stretch wall, kind of similar to Berlin, but as I mentioned, barely any banking. So that race is definitely going to be looking pretty different. At the Galesburg Speedway, the racing is going to look a little bit different than what we saw here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. And another thing to point out when it comes to the history, Val Mosco not only becomes the first ever Hoosier Summer Tour winner, started first, finished first in car number 1, and will be starting off the season with the points lead. And also, on top of that, he also becomes the first repeat winner here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. Remember, he won earlier this year at the bash at the zoo here back in January, and 5 months later, almost 5 months to the day, gets the job done once again in very dominating fashion. Back in January, he had to fight for that race win. This time, he gets to coast to a race victory and coast into a very early points lead, leaving here at Kalamazoo and heading to Galesburg next Saturday night. Big congratulations to Val Mosco on getting the job done here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. If you guys like this, be sure to hit the like button and be sure to consider subscribing in order to keep up with all the WRLA content throughout the 2026 season, including the WRLA Hoosier Summer Tour. And again, we'll be back next Saturday at the Galesburg Speedway, and that's going to be a very fun one. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, have a great rest of your weekend. Take care, and we will see you all next Saturday night at the Galesburg Speedway for the WRLA Hoosier Summer Tour. This WRLA telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or reused without any authorized written consent of 11 Broadcasting. WRLA would like to thank all of our loyal fans for their continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.